Yes, I'm back. And I just want to thank you all for your encouragement. I wanted to talk today to an audience I usually don't, just because stay-at-home wives is my target audience and moms of young kiddos, because I've walked through that season and I'm in that season. And so it's just what I think about most of the time now. But I haven't always been in this season, and there was a time where I was employed full-time before kids, and so I've had my share of working in the real world, and just wanted to talk to you women that are believers, that maybe you have children, maybe you don't, but just how you should approach working, just some things that I was very mindful of when I was in the workforce and tried to live out every day. And it's challenging at times and easy at times, but it doesn't matter. When things get hard, you still must persevere and obey the Lord and be a light to the world of Christ. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is complaining. Don't complain about anything at work, whether it be about your work, your supervisors, the bosses, anybody at all, your coworkers, your customers, your patients, whatever the environment is. Don't complain about your life that outside of work, or your husband, your home, your car, your kids, your church, your friends. Nothing. Don't complain. Period. In every single possibility example that you can put in there, don't complain. And I am extremely adamant about this, because I don't think I saw more of anything else than complaining when I was in the workforce. People complain constantly. In fact, I think that's 99% of what comes out of everybody's mouth. No one talks about anything worth talking about. No one has anything valuable to say. All that I would hear from everyone was complaining. And so how is a Christian supposed to stand out among the world? Well, that's pretty simple. Don't complain, and you will be weird. You will be the different one. You will be the one that's like, why are you never complaining about anything? You want to exude joy. You want to be set apart and stand out among your peers, so that there's something obviously different about you. And even on the days where you're not yourself and it's obvious that you're not cheerful, it's okay. You're human, and they can know that, but they don't need to hear grumbling and complaining. I definitely would avoid, in all the examples I'm going to give, to not point your finger when people are doing these things. So if someone's complaining, don't be like, you shouldn't talk about that. Just listen, or not listen even. I mean, you can just walk away if you want to, but you don't want to exude pride or judgmental or criticism. You want to show joy and love and grace. And so people are going to be complaining all around you all the time. If they ask you something straight out, you can say something lighthearted. You don't have to go into this heavy, deep thing right away, because you don't want to come across as an uptight, tightly wound person. You want to be loving and gracious, so that people can feel like they can approach you. No gossiping. Gossiping is going to be everywhere, because no one has anything to say or talk about. No one wants to talk about themselves. Everyone wants to talk about everybody else. I have seen this in the world time and time again, and it's just sad. And I mean, I have so many stories where I was just like caught off guard, where stuff that doesn't even matter. When I worked as a server, for example, people would come back to the kitchen and be like, this blank wants Coke instead of Sprite. Okay, and that is making you this angry and gossiping and cursing about this woman who is paying to come eat here. You are being paid to work here and serve the people that come here to eat and pay to be served here. I was shocked at the amount of bashing and gossip that takes place behind the scenes about customers, and if you work in a medical thing, patients or whatever. It's just heartbreaking, the lack of love in this world. And so you can be completely different by not complaining about or gossiping or bashing or slandering the people you are taking care of, even if they are rude to you. As a believer, you're supposed to treat everybody kindly and in love and with grace. So that should just pour over into the workforce. So if you do have a customer and they're frustrating you, you're getting paid to serve them. Of course, if you're being abused or mistreated by a customer, then you can take it to an authority and just lovingly, patiently, calmly say, this person is treating me very disrespectfully, and I don't think that it's a good idea for me to continue to take care of them. Can someone else help me here? And you can do that without not acting like a believer. You can do that. I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm saying act graciously and lovingly, self-controlled, like a believer should. That doesn't mean let everybody treat you like junk. Of course not. So don't gossip about anything. Your coworkers, the superiors, the customers, each other. That's already going to be everywhere. And if you don't, it's going to be noticed. I remember when I worked in the corporate world, we had a few part-time positions in the office that were mainly high school guys and retired men. And the retired men were little gossips. I was like, good grief. Like, seriously, men? You sound like women. Stop with all this gossip. And one of them turned to me one day and said, you don't say nothing bad about anybody. And I was like, and that's it. I was like, I have nothing to say bad about anybody, you know? So he noticed. He noticed that I had nothing to say ever. And I would come back sometimes with something positive about the people that they were bashing. Like if they were bashing someone, I would say, yeah, but this or that, you know, they're good at this. Or they went through this yesterday, so I can understand why they're frustrated today. Like just kindness instead of feeding their little fire, you know. Working hard. Work hard, diligently, like a Christian should. You are working unto the Lord, and that should show in your performance at work. Don't be on Facebook in the corner hiding, trying to sneak internet time. You're at work. You're not getting paid to be on the internet. In fact, I would call that stealing. If you're on the clock and you're doing something other than your job, you're stealing from your boss. So work unlike anybody else is working there. They may not be doing their job well. Don't compare yourself and what you do to what the other people are or aren't doing around you. You're working unto the Lord. So let that show in your job. And honestly, that's how everybody should be working, diligently and well. But sadly, there is a very, very sad work ethic in this country. And people just don't work hard. People want to be on Facebook during their job hours. People want to take a cigarette break every 20 minutes. People want to be checking their email or they're texting at work. It's like, guys, this is not what you're getting paid for. So you should be really, really different in how well you work. Excellent customer service, smiles, greeting people when they come in, just going the extra mile, because you're not working just for your boss, you're working for the Lord, and that's a big thing. No flirting at all whatsoever. I think sexual harassment is in every work environment that I've ever worked in. Just because it's not reported doesn't mean it's not sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is anything inappropriate. I was in shock that the emails that would go around at work, I was like, are you guys serious? This is so unprofessional. There would be emails about inappropriate jokes, inappropriate quizzes, and people would actually fill them out and send them to each other, talking about if you had something you would change on your body, what would it be? Breast implants. Are you seriously exchanging this information with coworkers that are above and below you? Like, unprofessional beyond belief. And then just crazy questions. I mean, I would never fill any of it out. I would delete everything and never laugh at anything, never comment on anything, never say anything about it. It was just as if I never received it, because that is partaking in sexual harassment. And if it had been reported, it would have been a big deal. But then the person reporting it, the person demanding professionalism in the workplace and respect and an appropriate atmosphere, gets bashed. It's like, why are you messing with our fun? We like to flirt and sexually harass one another and touch each other inappropriately and send unprofessional emails to each other. It's crazy to me. So that may be an area where you would be looked down upon if you stand up for what's right. But oh well, you know? So don't entertain any inappropriate conversations, jokes, emails, thoughts. I have several stories, crazy stories, where I did have to take it to an extreme, and I didn't want to be uptight, but the person kind of gave me no option, so then you have to just come across as a uptight, tightly wound lady, but oh well, I'm not going to let you touch me, you know? Hey, Ivan, let him go and talk to him. Say, can you please give me the block back?
Please give me the block back.
Joelle, come here. Joelle, come here. Say, sure, Ivan, and give it to him gently in his hand. Let's try again. Pick it up. Sorry. Give it to him. Ivan, grab it correctly. Thank you. Now put it where it goes. Joelle, look at me. Don't touch the clock. Okay? No. Let's try again. Don't touch the clock. Thank you. So stories. There was, so many. Just people touching, and you having to, it's kind of hard to get around that not being an awkward conversation. Please don't touch me, Yes, baby.
Can I please play with
If you play with it correctly, yes, you can. So I've had to do that, and then the reaction is like, sorry. And it's like, it's okay. I just want you to know that I'm not comfortable with that, so please don't touch me. And then this exaggerated response of every time they're near me, walking against the wall and stuff. I'm like, okay, if you want to be that extreme and be like up against the wall, that's fine with me. That's better than you touching me. So you're the one taking it to that level. I had this guy at my most recent job, which is 2 years ago, ask for a hug, and I was trying to remember the situation, but I couldn't. And I was like, sorry, I only hug my husband, or my husband's the only man I hug, And everybody was like, ugh, and walked away. And I was like, great, everybody thinks I'm a weirdo. Oh well. But then to my surprise, 2 of the coworkers that I worked with who were not believers came out to me and they were like, I was so glad when you said that. That guy needs to be put in his place sometimes. He thinks he's God's gift to women or something. And I was like, I was surprised that there was 2 people that told me that they were glad I said that. But in the moment, think about how hard that would be. You're in a circle of non-believers. One of the guys, who's like this flirt, touching everybody, asks for a hug straight out. And you can either give it to him, because all eyes are on you, or speak up. And I chose to speak up because the last thing on earth that I would need is somebody that I know being in that restaurant, seeing me hugging this random man that isn't my husband, mortified the entire time. That would be harder for me to physically embrace this man than to tell him, with everybody looking at me and listening, no. And it was embarrassing and it was awkward, but oh well. Now, after the fact, I can say I didn't hug that man body to body with this stranger from work that thinks he can touch everybody. So he never did his little hip thing again. He used to like come around behind the girls and like touch their waist, and he did it to me twice prior to that. And I told my husband, I was like, if he does it one more time, I'm gonna have to tell him something. And after that, he never touched me again because that wall was there, and they learn. Alana, I can't mess with her, Weird stories. This guy took off this girl's shoe and was like kissing all over her foot in the bar section at the restaurant, and customers saw it, employees saw it, and he got fired. But she didn't say anything. And I'm like, how can you not say anything? That is insane. But I can understand, too, what an awkward situation to have this guy completely on his own, taking your shoe off and kissing your foot in front of all these people, it's hard to speak up. But you have to. You have to. And the Lord will give you the strength to do that. Random conversations. This guy walking around saying, I'm wearing my girlfriend's underwear today. You want to see? No, we're at work. Why are you talking about that? Crazy, inappropriate. So anyway, there's just so many stories, and I just want to encourage you to be strong and put an end to stuff like that, because it might just take one really, really, really hard stance, and then it'll never happen to you again, because they will know, don't want to mess with her, Again, don't overdo it. You don't want to be that uptight, tightly wound girl that nobody, that instead of becoming this believer that people admire and want to talk to and get advice from and know that they're not being judged or criticized by them, you will become this uptight thing that everybody's like, ugh, there she comes, Yes, baby?
I think just knocked down my tower.
I'm sorry. Can you tell him, please don't knock down my tower? And then, last thing, if you do fail to do any of these things, with the exception of the sexual harassment one, if you fail to not complain, let's say you fall into the trap of complaining, if you fall into the trap of gossiping, if you fall into the trap of slacking off at work or being rude to somebody at your job, like if you have some sort of conflict or anything like that, I would encourage you to publicly apologize. That has Christian written all over it. I don't think I've ever seen a non-believer own up to what they did wrong in front of anyone that was present when they did it and admit that they were wrong and that it won't happen again. I have failed. I complained once at Red Lobster when I worked as a waitress. I came in kind of huffing and puffing about something with drinks. I really can't remember. It was like 2 years ago. But I said something, and there was 3 people present when I said it. I got my drinks, and I left. And then I realized what I had just done could have, messed up my witness. Everybody there knows I'm a believer. Look how I'm acting, just like they are. So I went up to each person that was there, that heard and saw what happened, and I told them, I'm really sorry that I reacted that way. That was wrong. I let my emotions get away with me, and I didn't have self-control, so forgive me. And, of course, they were weirded out beyond belief. They're like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. But, hey, she's different. What? Why would you do that? Well, because I love the Lord, and I want to conduct myself in a way that honors Him, and that didn't. Anybody asks, you have a door. You have a way to share the gospel. Also, one time in my old job, I had tiny little conflict, nothing major. I just got really defensive because this lady was calling marriage stupid, and I was like, you're crazy, don't talk about something you don't know, and I don't remember what I said. It wasn't necessarily what I said, it was my tone of voice. I got really angry and it was obvious, and I apologized to her and the 4 people that were there when I told her whatever I told her. And of course, they were all like, oh yeah, they don't want to hear it. It's so awkward for people to hear a confession, but there's my heart, I'm sorry. And from that day on, it's really funny, that girl and I actually became really good friends. And I got to share the gospel with her. I saw her become a believer. I grew to love her. And at first, I didn't like her very much at all. I remember coming home from work after the first few weeks of that new job, telling my husband, I can't remember the last time I disliked somebody, and I just don't like this girl. Like, it was so hard for me. But man, by the time, after 2 years of working there, and I mean, it was way earlier on, I truly loved her, and that's the Lord's work. It's just really neat how God can change your heart. And I definitely have fallen into gossiping, not in big ways, but maybe, something small, like, I don't know, I can't think of an example, but I'm sure I have. I'm not going to say I've never gossiped at work. Of course I have. And I can't think of an example where I apologized. But anyway, let me see what, if you fail, publicly apologize to everyone that heard it or saw it. And I wanted to share, statistically, once women went into the workforce around the 50s. Before that, most women stayed home. Things really started to change in the 50s, and women in the 60s, and women started going to work. The divorce rate in that decade went up about 30%. If you are naive enough, that is awesome. Good job. If you're naive enough to truly think that the women being in the workforce is not dangerous, okay, keep believing that lie. Women being in the workforce is dangerous. It is dangerous in the numbers. If you're a numbers person, you can see that once women went to the workforce, divorce went up significantly. And I'm sure there's various reasons. One could be women feeling self-sufficient. They don't need a husband. They could do it on their own. And they just leave their families, leave their husbands, do it on their own. Other reasons can be relationships found in the workplace. Men flirting, showing you attention, showing you that you're desirable. You may not have that at home. You may not have that as much as you want at home. Whatever. You let that thought and be entertained for too long, the next thing you know, you're texting or calling each other or talking on the internet, your Facebook friends, you're staying after work to talk. Things can become, just the texting would be inappropriate. You don't want to let it even get to the first step, talking too much, talking about anything that is not professional and needed to be talked about, work stuff. If you're struggling in this way at any stage, if it's just the thought stage where you're just thinking about somebody at work, if it's already gotten to the talking out of work, or it's staying at work late to talk about things that are not work related, or if you're already hanging out of work, or in a relationship out of work, you must confess this sin to a godly woman and have her lead you in wisdom on what to do, depending on the stage you're in. If you're just thinking about it, I'll tell you right now, stop. Stop, 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 stop. If you're in the next phase, on the phone, talking out of work, anything like that, stop. You don't have to explain it to him. Stop right now and don't let it go any further. Divorce happens, and it can happen to the most unsuspecting marriages. If you are not working at your marriage every single day, it's in risk of divorce because things happen so little, and before you know it, it's huge. So if you're struggling with lust at work and it's possible for you to get out of there, get out of there. If it's not possible for you to get out of there, you must do whatever you can to make it stop now. And yeah, that's what I would have to say to all that. This video turned out much longer than I expected it to, but I hope that it's good counsel for you ladies who do have to work. Have a wonderful day.